Hi, welcome to Boring Money, Rich Life. I'm your host, Joy Hicks, and today I'm going to do a book review for you guys. It has been a couple of weeks since I have, but I told you guys that this is kind of like my own personal journey in learning about investing and money and all of those different things. And so I'm doing a lot of reading right now just to understand and learn all of these different money rules. I told you guys before that honestly, sometimes the best way to find good books is literally just to go to the library because it's like you don't know what you don't know. So honestly, I'll kind of just read anything, but this was super short. So I feel like this is a book that pretty much everybody could pick up. It's called A Quick Guide for Investing Filters of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and it's by Bud Labaton. So I will say it's not the most like transformative book, but if you are looking to learn how to evaluate different companies for investment, I would say it's a quick little read. It's super easy, but there are some good tips in there. So pretty much the author, he's looking at how Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger evaluate different companies when they're looking to make an investment. I will say, if you are planning to be more of like an active investor, so that means that you're picking specific stocks, you'll definitely need to know how to evaluate different companies. So for that, I would say, again, it's super short, it's worth the read. I don't know how much it is online, but just to kind of get your mind in that type of framework, I would say it's pretty good. So, in the book, he was saying that when Charlie Munger and when Warren Buffett look at different companies, they are kind of evaluating based on fact. So, one thing to remember when you're investing is that it should not be an emotional response. Right now, especially with Trump's announcements of tariffs, there is a lot of emotion in the market. We see that anytime there's a recession. And we know that statistically, there's a recession, every 10 years or so. So, ups and downs in the market are definitely going to happen. But if you're going to be a more active investor, then you definitely have to just look at the facts. So, they were saying that when they're evaluating a company, they're learning about the products, they're researching their customers, they're also looking at the management and then the financial safety. And I feel like a lot of times we'll kind of just look at like the stock price, like, oh, this is cheap, I can grab this. But again, if you're going to be more of an active investor, you need to be looking at the actual facts of those companies. So the two of them, they kind of have four filters that they go through when they're evaluating different companies. They're looking to see if it is a business that they understand. Two, if it has favorable long-term economics. Three, if it is a good like management, so meaning like they have a good staff, they have good leadership. And then four, if it's a sensible price tag. And they were saying pretty much if a company does make it through all of those four filters, then that's when they decide that they want to actually cut a check, which I did share in a previous video that they are kind of sitting on a lot of cash right now, like $334 million worth of cash, because they don't feel like there is a lot of opportunity in the market. So that does sound pretty simplistic, but I think they definitely like scrutinize the companies that they invest in. And another thing that they talk about is operating in your area of competence. So that means that they don't invest in anything that they don't understand. And that was kind of like the first filter that they have. And so, for instance, like if you don't really understand how crypto works, right? Although crypto is kind of like the new and exciting thing on the block, if you really can't understand it, and I'm not talking about like you haven't took the time to research it. Let's say that you've really been researching it and you still don't understand it. That might not be a great place to invest because you're going to probably make a lot of mistakes. So, for example, I've shared with you guys that I'm a UX designer. And for me personally, my area of competence is not in coding. Like, I have tried so many times to learn how to code. I've tried to take boot camps online. I even tried to take like a hybrid boot camp where you do independent study and then on a Saturday you have a instructor and you have other classmates. Like it's just not the way that my brain works. It's not. But when it comes to doing research, talking to customers, interviewing, problem solving, designing, all those different things, like that is my area of competence. Now, I'm still able to be in the field of technology, but I have to know what my circle of competence is. And it's kind of the same in investing. Like, if there's just something that you just don't understand, like let's say, you know, you want to do housing flips, but you can't understand the formulas and all the depreciation things that you have to understand. That might not be your area of competence. So they're very big on investing in companies that they understand. And the reason why is because they are trying to minimize mistakes. So in investing, you really don't have to do a lot right. You just have to avoid doing a lot of things wrong because it can be very costly when you invest in the wrong things. It can take time to build up money again and cash flow again. So investing in areas that make sense to you, you're still going to have to learn. You're still going to have to watch like YouTube videos and listen to podcasts and read books and all those things. But if it's something that you can understand, again, especially if you're planning to be an active investor, you want to try to stay in that circle of competence just so that way you can avoid costly mistakes. Another thing that it talked about was just kind of keeping it simple. And it kind of goes along with that same lines. Like they're not looking to invest in overcomplicated businesses or things like that. They were also saying they don't try to invest in businesses that tend to change often over time. So, like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, they've been known to invest in like Coca-Cola and companies like See's Candies, which are pretty simplistic businesses, but they have a really sustainable business models. That again is their area of genius. Now that's going to vary for you as an investor because again, it's going to be up to like your risk tolerance. So for instance, if you're like 18 to 24 years old, you might have a stomach for a lot more risk. You might want to get into crypto. You might want to get into all of these other like non-traditional investing things because again, you can kind of withstand a lot more risk. But let's say if you're like 45 and you know that your retirement is going to be coming up within the next 20 years, then you might want to kind of look in things that are a little bit more stable. So everybody is a little bit different, but it just kind of depends on, again, what you have a risk tolerance for. And then they do talk about investing in wonderful businesses. So they consider a wonderful business to be one, a product or service that is needed or desired. There definitely has to be a demand for that product. Two, it has no close substitute. So that means that it's not easily replicated. And three, they have a lot of purchasing power. The book kind of talks about like building a moat around your business. You want to try to invest or kind of look for companies that have like a moat around their business. So that means there's something special about this company that kind of protects them in a sense where it gives them kind of like a leg up. So maybe that means they've gone to market a lot sooner than their competitors. Maybe they have like a patent protection on their product, or maybe they have like a lot of brand recognition where a lot of their competitors don't. So you want to try to look for those companies. And sometimes, it does take a while to find a company like that. Like there's not a lot of apples floating around. So you definitely have to be on the lookout for those types of companies. But that's what they consider to be a wonderful business. Like there has to be something about this business that is protected because again, I will say that their investment strategy is not like the get rich quick. That is definitely not the type of investing model. Now there's a lot out there, but just for this like particular book, they're not trying to get rich quick. They're looking for sustainable businesses that will continue to grow over time. So if that is an investing strategy that works for you, definitely look for a company that has kind of like a moat around them. Now, if you are wanting more of like the get rich quick, this is probably not the strategy. And I will say that's important as well. You definitely have to understand what type of investment strategy you're looking for, because that's going to make a difference in how you evaluate different companies. Now, a lot of investing is really just mindset. So, the book did talk about how Ben Graham was kind of like Warren Buffett's teacher or mentor when he was learning how to invest. And so, Ben Graham, he was saying that you definitely have to look for profitable businesses, but you should also kind of change your mindset. You have to look at investing as part ownership. So, anytime that you buy a stock or shares in a company, you are a part owner in that business. So, he was saying that that's going to be very important because that's going to challenge you to care a little bit more about where you place your money. He was also saying that you have to change your perspective about market fluctuations. So that kind of goes back to taking the emotion out of it. Again, this is business, right? Like you are a part owner in this business. So if you've invested in a business that you've actually analyzed and you believe in their business model, then when they have dips and there's changes, you're not going to be so shaken. But if you're kind of investing in businesses that you don't understand, that you don't really even know much about, then you might be a lot more emotional because you're not really looking at it in the long term. And then three, he definitely talks about a margin of safety. So I will touch on that a little bit more later. But pretty much they were just saying when you are analyzing a business, you should definitely be reading their annual reports. And I will say this is something I need to get better at. I have not been doing that. So they were saying you should read the business's annual report and then you should also read their competitors' annual report. And as you're going through it, you're trying to identify the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, the successes, the errors, and the failures. Because again, you are a owner in this business. You are investing in this company. And so you're hoping that this company is going to grow your money. So you definitely want to make sure that you understand this business and you kind of see the long-term sustainability of this business. And then with the margin of safety, that is pretty much just talking about buying at a discount. So, in investing, in order to actually become successful and actually like grow your wealth, you definitely have to buy at a discount. And the hope is that you sell high or you kind of hold it. Let's say you do a buy and hold and you're pretty much generating cash flow. But in order to generate cash flow, in order to sell high and make money and profit, you do have to buy and purchase at a discount. So it was saying Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, when they were kind of investing millions of dollars, it was kind of believed that their margin of safety was around 50%. So they're looking for things that have a pretty significant discount, or they're looking for businesses that they could purchase at a discount. And now that they're investing like billions of dollars, it's believed that their margin is around 30%. And it was saying, of course, like the amount of money that you have definitely makes a difference. But if you're investing, like thousands of dollars and like money is tight and things like that, and you're kind of just getting started out, you definitely have to be cautious about what you're investing in, especially if you're doing it for the long term. Now, there are ways to definitely buy the full stock market, like you can invest in like ETFs and things like that. But again, if you're looking to kind of be more of an active investor versus like passive, where you're just kind of buying like the entire stock market, you definitely want to make sure that you're getting things at a discount. Now, as I've told you guys before, recessions are very tough, but millionaires are pretty much made in recessions because these are the people who have saved their money. And now that everything is kind of on a discount or the cost of different companies, like their shares are going down, that's when a lot of people go in and scoop things up at a discount. So, although there is a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, it might be a good time to kind of start looking into investing because, again, this is an opportunity where you can buy things at a less price. And then as the stock increases, then you know that you're kind of making a gain on your money. So, I will say This, again, it's not like a must read, but I do think that if you are looking to learn how to evaluate different companies, it's definitely a quick read. I would say it's worth it. Now, as always, what is one boring thing that you can do today to start fueling your rich life? Again, I'm Joy Hicks. I'm your host. Thank you for watching and be sure to subscribe.